All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Joel Rosen. I am the Adrenal Fatigue Recovery Ninja, and I want to welcome you back to another edition of your Adrenal Fix Facebook lifestyle. So sorry I've been away. It's been a busy summer, and we've been traveling, and we're back in the groove, and we're going to talk about how to four times your energy, or how to 4x your energy, and balance your stress hormones, and how to do that naturally. And we're going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about it without having to always escalating your bioidentical hormones, chasing your tail, going from one dose to the next dose, whether it's synthroid or it's your sex hormones or testosterone, thyroid meds, steroids. Even if you think you've already tried everything and you think that nothing works, you're going to learn a lot of new stuff in this video. So make sure you take notes, and you watch it over and over and over again. That's my goal, is to get you guys to learn. And what we're going to do is we're going to learn why bioidentical hormones will never work in the long term. And that's the same reason that you have a weight loss resistance problem. And it has to do with the word resistance. And we're going to use resistance in a lot of different ways. Resistance in terms of the cell membrane is resisting the information that your communication systems are giving. So communication systems are the way your cells talk to each other. And your immune system, your neurotransmitters, your hormones, they're all communicators. And if your cell membranes aren't working properly, there's no communication. You know, in life, if there's no communication, there's no good relationships. So as we go here, we're going to talk about what we're seeing here with people that go through these problems. We're seeing people that are on bioidentical hormones that are being overdosed, quite frankly, if you want to know the truth. They are having the doctor mentality of, I don't feel good, so I'm going to take your blood values. It's going to come back low. We're going to give you more thyroid medication. We're going to give you more sex hormones. And at the end of the day, what happens is the sound isn't great. All right. Sorry about that. Let's see if that works better. I'm using a brand new broadcast through BeLive. It's brand new, so bear with any glitches that we're going through here. Hopefully that's working in terms of your volume, though I don't know if it is. I'll turn on my microphone, see if that works better. So anyways, hopefully I'll keep my train of thought here. As far as now, if you have an adrenal fatigue problem, if you find yourself in the middle of a conversation and you don't remember what the words you were saying or what way you were going, you go down a side angle for the conversation and you come back to the original conversation and you don't remember where you are, that's a frontal lobe problem. That's a temporal lobe problem. That's a cortisol bombarding those lobes problem. And that's an adrenal problem. And just to show you how focused I am, we're going to get back into 3 stories ago into the bioidenticals. So we were talking about the nightmare of the bioidenticals. We're talking about being literally overdosed on bioidentical hormones. Looking at your blood work, seeing the blood values go really, really low. And then, okay, well, we got to raise them up. Let's give you more thyroid hormones, or let's give you more sex hormones, more testosterones. And then what happens is you may feel good for a little bit, or you never felt good, or just still waiting to feel good, but you feel really bad. And then you only find out after all of that, you find out that you've taken way too many. And the nightmare of your hair falling out, the nightmare of not being able to sleep, the nightmare of feeling cold when you should be hot and everyone's looking at you as, why are you freezing? Or not going out on a sunny day because it's too hot and you can't cool off. Or your heart rate going racing. Or just not having good bowel movements. And we call this adrenal fatigue. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about adrenal fatigue in terms of, can we not just talk about you have a resistance problem? You have a cellular problem, you have a metabolic problem. So if we want to agree that adrenal fatigue is a difficult concept and the doctors don't accept it, I can agree with that. But I think that the adrenals tell us ultimately that, let's agree that if you have your adrenals and they're giving you, they're puttering out and they're under chronic stress, and ultimately you're tired, all the things we talked about, your brain foggy, you can't focus, you can't concentrate, you don't have energy throughout the day, you have a stress stressor that was unexpected, and all of a sudden you have a panic attack. How many of you, if actually I'm doing it through Be Live now, so I don't know if there's any likes or not, but if you like this content, please let me know so I can kind of tell if I'm getting any feedback. I can't even tell how many viewers are here either, so I'm not sure if I'm crazy about this or not. But anyways, so now what we were talking about is with the bioidentical hormones and the steroids and the feeling crappy and having all these problems, you're never ever going to fix it if you don't do this one thing. And that has to do with, if you want to call it an adrenal fatigue problem, or you don't want to call it an adrenal fatigue problem, let's agree on this, is upstream from the broken problem of the adrenals is the fact that the cell's broken. Bottom line, metabolism is broken. And what I mean by metabolism being broken is when your metabolism is broken, you're not making energy. Your cells aren't breathing properly. You're not reducing free radical damage. You're not repairing your DNA bases, your skin, your hair, your teeth, your nail, your bones. You're not balancing your neurotransmitters. You're not making them properly. You're not breaking them down properly. You're not stabilizing your glucose. You're not repairing your cell membranes. And guess what? We have the benefit of the adrenals being our sound system to that process happening. So the thing I wanted to teach you, that unless you learn this and unless you actually realize that you have to have a complete paradigm shift, is you need to fix your broken metabolism. And your adrenals are the ones that are pointing to that. And so you're kind of on the same wavelength as the doctor. When they say there's no such thing as adrenal fatigue, you can say, I agree with you. We have a cell danger response. We have an overwhelmed immune system. And you see people that are sick all the time. Unfortunately, I know of a patient who recently passed, and she was really young, and it breaks my heart. And I think about it, and the sound volume is low. Is this happening? I don't know why the sound volume is low. I honestly don't know. I'll try to get a little bit closer. How's that? I think that's probably better. I hope that's better. I hope that you can hear me the whole time. I hope I didn't have an amazing Facebook Live so far and no one is hearing any of this. So anyways, what I was going to say is there was a young lady, less than 30 years old. And I found out through Facebook, it's amazing. You can see all these sort of benefits and notices. And she passed away. She's 28 years old. And what happened, Robin, was I had my headphones plugged in. And so she passed away, and she was sick. I don't know how she passed. She just passed a month ago. And I don't know what happened. It really, but I do know this. I do know that when you have a chronic illness and you're not absorbing your nutrients, you're in a catabolic state. Your body's breaking down, and cortisol and adrenals are the conductor of that. But the body and the consequence on all the whole systems is the end result. So it's a matter of perspective. Are you calling the problem an adrenal fatigue problem, or are you calling it a cell breakdown problem? Doesn't matter, because the solution still comes down to fixing the actual problem. And that comes down to understanding the adrenals for sure, but going upstream from that. And that's what we wanted to talk about today, is what can you do to fix this problem? Because that's the most important thing. So let's just summarize so far for those that didn't hear what we've talked about. We're talking about how to 4 times your energy and balance your stress hormones naturally, even without increasing your bioidentical hormones over and over and over again. And or your Synthroid, or your T3, or your Levo, or your Euthyroid, whatever it is, or taking steroids, prednisones, or taking steroids, or whatever it may be. Even if you've tried everything, or you think that nothing seems to work, what we're going to teach you is you can't do bioidenticals long term, because it's just causing more resistance. And if we have a broken metabolism, if our adrenals are not signaling properly, you have bad timing of day, you have bad manufacture of the hormone, you have excess hormone, you can't get it inside the cell because the membranes and resistance are broken. your body's producing antibodies to slow down your immune system, and you're in a catabolic state, there's something called AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome. We know about that because of HIV. But what about acquired immune deficiency syndrome for adrenal fatigue sufferers, or Lyme sufferers, or HPV sufferers? What do you think that is? That's a catabolic state, breaking down your tissues. And the good news is with adrenal fatigue, you're so far upstream from that this medical model is to wait till you're so far downstream and then bombard you with drugs. And that's what's happening. And when that happens, you get into this pharmaceutical model, and you get into an insurance-based model, and you get sicker and sicker and sicker and sicker. And that's the paradigm shift I want you to have. I don't know. Again, I don't know if I'm going to use Be Live again. It doesn't look like I have many viewers, and I don't have very many comments. And I'm so much more comfortable with having the Facebook Live setting. So I don't think I'll ever use this again. But anyways, the content though comes back down to, okay, what can we do about it? So what you can do about it is, number one, understand how what's the priority system. So the adrenals, let's talk about the adrenals. The adrenals, the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and let's actually show you a diagram of that. So, this is the metabolism. Sorry, we won't talk about that. So your hypothalamus in the brain senses everything, sends a message to the pituitary. The pituitary sends a message to the gland, and then the gland secretes a hormone to add a communication effect. But if you don't have anywhere to communicate it to because of oxidative stress, free radical damage, absorption issues, blood sugar imbalances, methylation concerns, then those cell membranes are not repairing. And when those cell membranes aren't repairing, these hormones that the hypothalamus, the pituitary, adrenals, hypothalamus, pituitary, thyroid, hypothalamus, pituitary, ovaries, when all those things aren't firing properly, what happens? Or they are firing properly, but they're not binding to the receptors and causing an impact. We give more hormones, more hormones, more hormones. And what happens? Oh, you're yelling at the person a little louder. You feel a little bit better in the beginning. It's starting to work. But then over time, it doesn't work because you keep bombarding that cell membrane, and there's consequences of that. The cell membranes start to downregulate the receptors because the receptors are like just being bombarded. And that's not makeup, that's not make-believe. That's called down receptor modulation, or homotropic modulation. Sorry about that. And what that means is we get adjusted to neurotransmitters or communicators, cytokines, inflammatory things, hormones, that when they're bombarded with chemical messages, they downregulate. But how are we making those chemical messages? Do we have enzymes? Do we absorb our proteins? Is there a problem with absorbing these proteins? If we do, then we don't have the enzymes to even manufacture these things and even break these things down or even bind them to the problems. And then what happens is we aren't methylating properly. And as a result, when we don't methylate properly, we ultimately don't turn off the expression of things. We don't repair our cell membranes. We don't lay down new DNA bases. We don't manufacture neurotransmitters and break them down properly. And same thing with hormones, and we don't detoxify. What happens on top of that is we have an environmental sick environment. And as a result, the chemical toxins, the pesticides, the sprays, the organophosphates, the glyphosates, the genetically modified foods, the bacteria ridden in the foods, the antibiotics, the depleted mineral sources. I hate to say that the sky is falling, because the good news is there's so many good things you can do. It's out there, but it's cheaper, yet more costly to be educated and to make small changing hinges that have big impacting doors in terms of your health. And that means eating organic foods, plain and simple. That means getting corn-fed, grass-fed beef. And you shouldn't be eating so much beef anyways. That's a whole other topic. Looking at getting off your grains, modified GMOs out of the question. That's a huge thing. And so a lot of it comes down to, no matter how much we look about methylation and genetic testing, a lot of it comes down to good old common sense. And easier said than done, Dr. Rosen. It's really expensive to do that. Okay, so get bulk and eat less. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but at least know how many calories you need every day to maintain your weight. Know how many you're getting, how much protein, carbs, and fats you're getting, and then that way you can see if you're in the zone or not. Because to not know, no knowledge, and know is to know is to not know. I guess that's the way of saying it. So anyways, the main lesson in this is, in order to fix this bioidentical overdosing and all of the downstream consequences of that, like liver that doesn't work very well, storage of hormones in your tissues, excess free radical damage, overgrowth of microbial stuff, neurotransmitters that are not working properly, overwhelm. And so what does that mean for you? Well, always being exhausted, always being burnt out, not being able to focus, feeling like you're going to have a panic attack, feeling like too much stimulation overwhelms you, not wanting to go out because not having any energy, feeling like you can't lose any weight, seeing your muscles break down, not being able to focus and concentrate. Please tell me if I understand who you are, because I do. I talk to you guys every day, and this is what you're dealing with. Hopefully this makes a lot of sense to you, and this is the main problem of why you're not getting any better. So coming down to it, common sense we talked about, but glucose monitoring. Above all else, you'll never fix your bioidentical overdosing, or the reason why you needed bioidenticals in the first place, or having thyroid meds, or never thinking anything works for you until you actually stabilize your glucose. That's the main thing. But stabilizing your glucose doesn't have to do with so much with what you're eating. It has to do with the resistance, right? We're talking about cellular resistance. We're talking about membranes not repairing. We're talking about free radicals breaking them down. We're talking about mitochondrial health not spewing out enough oxygen to breathe properly, and having too much lactate production, slowing down Krebs cycle with heavy metal toxicities. I mean, all of this is what's going on. It's what's going on. So what does that mean? It means that not only do you have to worry about balancing your glucose from what you're eating, but you have to worry about it from what's going on in your body, creating inflammation, causing your adrenals to crash, and causing cell membranes, and causing your metabolism to be broken. Because we said about your metabolism that is broken. And that's what I want to teach you, is your metabolism is broken. It's about fixing the metabolism. So anyways, so how do we balance your glucose? So, I've talked about it many times, taking a glucose meter and looking at your glucose when you first wake up, and looking at your glucose before your first meal, and having that glucose meter be a ketone meter, so you can look at your ketones when you first wake up and your ketones before your first meal. And from there it becomes really sophisticated, meaning, is it high? Is it low? We'd like to see it between 72 to 90 in the morning for your glucose, and we'd like to see above 0.4, 0.5 in the morning. And then before your first meal, we'd like to see it still between 72 to 90, unless you're really ketogenic. And we'd like to see your ketones even higher. So maybe 0.8, 1.0. So we see your ketones going up, your glucose falling, and we know that this is happening optimally. Most of the time it's not. And there's a lot that goes into that: methylation, inflammation, oxidative stress, genetics, so many things that those that are looking to do more, we can set up a time to talk and see if you want to, we can troubleshoot with you. And I do it very, very easily. What we do is we talk about what's not working. We talk about what you've tried, how impactful it is on your health, why you're not getting there, and where you want to go. And if I think I can help you, I'll let you know. If I don't think I can help you, I'll let you know that too. But there's a couple rules. You have to be ready to fix this. The bottom line is I look for people that are determined and decisive that this problem needs to be fixed yesterday. I can't go on any longer. The pain of not fixing this is more painful than the pain of fixing it. Meaning, I'll do something about it now. They have to be coachable. This is a sophisticated program. You need to be with it. You need to understand and want to understand and be open to all suggestions as long as it makes sense to you. But give it, like your life depends on it, because acquired immune deficiency syndromes results in people dying at 28 years of old, the age. And how old are you? How much time do you have? Are you living the life that you want to be? Are you concerned about your longevity? Do you notice major problems like you can't focus, you feel off balance? I mean, this is serious. This is really your life, is what we're talking about in terms of having an outside the box approach and looking at it from fixing the metabolism. But you got to be serious. Like, I don't want tire kickers because I just don't have the time. This program is not for everyone, but it's for those that are committed, decisive. They are coachable. And the last part is resourceful. Bottom line is, you've paid a lot of money already for your insurance for 10 years. That hasn't helped because you've been suffering. You've paid a lot of money for testing. You've paid a lot of money for supplements, and you paid a lot of money for not being at your best. And that means, hey, I talked to people that have been off of work for 5 years. They were making 50,000 a year. That's 250,000 right there, and that's conservative. So what's the cost been of not being better? The cost has been that, but what can't you put a price tag on? Can you put a price tag on, having to see your family go out and you say, okay, no, honey, I'm going to stay home because I just don't feel up to it, and you don't, and you're missing out on what they're doing, and it eats you up inside. And what about the guilt that you have to that spouse who is being as tolerable as they possibly can, and they want to help you, but they're frustrated, and you have a certain amount of guilt, no matter how supportive they are to you. Um, when are you going to finally get this better? And so those are the people we're looking for. Where I talked to a lady today, and it's about resourcefulness in terms of when there's an opportunity to fix something, or there's an opportunity to have an investment where you're where that you would be stupid not to, because it's such a gross difference between the commitment and time it takes to get better, and what you get out of it. And what you get out of it, you get energy, focus, concentration, knowing that you don't have an imminent death coming up. I mean, not being in sympathetic overdrive every second of every day, being able to fall asleep, being able to wake up with lots of energy, being able to not be constantly stressed out, being able to start to lose the weight. I mean, it's all those things, but it comes down to understanding that it's fixing the metabolism. It's not, medicating yourself to good health. It's even not supplementing yourself to good health. It has to do with proper wavelengths and frequencies too, of your brain wavelengths too, but that's a whole other story. Anyways, what I'll do is I'll leave a link for those that are serious that want to sign up. Oh, and lastly too, I wanted to tell you about my 4th of July special. So we do have a 4th of July special. We'll run it until tomorrow. And we'll have it, I have a link here, but basically it's a really great way. It's our adrenal repair program, where we look at a before and after saliva, urine, and blood tests to get, a critical picture of all hormones in all methods in the body. So blood is awesome for pituitary and absolute amount of levels. Your saliva is amazing for circadian rhythms, and seeing if the rhythm is breaking down. Is that a hippocampus problem, or is it an HPA axis problem? Is there a total amount problem? So it's an awesome test too. And then the urine, the Dutch test, is, for me, it's kind of my favorite. It has the metabolic breakdown components. You can see total metabolized cortisol versus free cortisol. You can see total DHEA and the 3 components that break down to. See when those break down, are they going down more an inflammatory pathway? When you break down your estrogens, are they going down bad pathways for phase 1 and phase 2? Look at your genetic testing and see if there's some overlap with that, and give you some recommendations. That's what that program's about. So we include the before and after blood, urine, and saliva test. We meet 6 times to discuss your health history, to see what you've already done, see what supplements you're doing, and then make recommendations from there. And then go from there. We look at your genetics and review that, and then we do a follow up. And it's a really easy program, really great to do. I'm going to include the link here. We don't offer these programs too much because I have a big program, and my bigger program is more inclusive. But this is a 4th of July special. Lots of thousands of dollars of savings. So click on the link and you can learn more about it, see if it's for you. And hope you all have a great 4th of July. I'm not crazy about this new Be Live because I can't tell how many viewers there are. It says there's only 4, and usually when I do this, like there's over 30. So if there's only 4, then you 4 are the lucky ones, and the other people will have to not watch it live. But anyways, so at the end of the day, what I want to say is there is hope. When you have low energy, you can quadruple that energy. You can fix your broken metabolism, and you can, basically transform your life. And that's what we do. So I'm the Adrenal Fatigue Recovery Ninja, and I look forward to ending your adrenal fatigue nightmare. Thank you so much.